Whether you are trying to find out how to get into game development or you have several published games, game jams are fantastic for anyone who likes games design. People join the challenge to make games, and it really does bolster spirits to know you aren't alone and you are contending in a large challenge. Anything from a few hundred to a few 100,000 people have attended in the past. Here are 10 plus things I think will help push you in the right direction. If you have any more tips, let's help everyone out. Drop them in the comments and we'll build up a list. Tip 1. The game jam journey. The basic way an average jam will work is split into 4 stages. Stage 1 is the jam announcement. This is typically months before it starts. Most jams run from itch.io, just make an account for free. The odd one, like Ludum Dare, sit on their own. So find the jams page, find the start date and the rules. Stage 2 is the theme or feature release. A lot of jams don't release the theme or the feature until the jam starts. In most cases, the theme isn't released until the minute the jam starts. As soon as the jam starts, you'll have your theme or your feature to start planning. I've seen other game jams that release a specific asset pack you must use, but again, you don't get this until the jam starts. Stage 3 is development. This is your time to shine, but also the most work. You have a period of time that ranges from 8 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, to even a week or a month sometimes, to develop a game using the theme or the core feature. Stage 4 is the completion and/or the voting. Some jams just end and that's it, done. Enjoy your game. Now here is where you can sit back and relax. You've done your game and now you get to go and play other developers' games. However, some have voting. Ludum Dare, for instance, works on a rating for rating system. You must rate other games in order for your game to appear on people's lists. The more games you vote on, the more lists you appear on. Tip 2. RTFM. Check the rules. The last thing you want to do is spend all your time making a game, it's everything you want, you are super happy, and then you realise you've missed a core rule. It could be anything from not using paid assets, to making your source code freely downloadable, to having to create all the assets from scratch or having a specific feature. Check the rules. They are normally available before the theme is released, and it will give you the knowledge you need to be ready. It won't take long, but the difference could be between your game being able to be published and it being rejected outright. Tip 3. Give yourself time. You might think it'll be obvious, but taking part in the game jam takes time. The time you put into it is entirely up to you. 1 hour or 24 hours, depending on the jam's time. The more time you put into it, the bigger game you can make. Just know how much time you can put into it and plan for it. Jams are announced with a pretty long notice, so arrange events around it so you can focus. But be careful, working 24 hours straight with no food, no sleep is dangerous, don't be silly. Look after yourself, but waking up a little early if you feel you can will help you. Practice beforehand. Tip 4. The sad truth is, it's going to be hard if you're a level 0 in games design. You don't need to have a published game or a qualification, but knowledge of some core elements will help. Basic movement, scoring, UI, and experience with your chosen engine will all help you. There is no wrong time to join the jam. You won't know until you try. So if you have experience or you want the challenge, just join it. It's normally always free. And if you aren't sure you have the knowledge, load your engine up of choice. See if you can make a basic game with movement. If you hit an enemy, you die. Super basic game. Use as many tutorials as you wish. All you need to do is feel confident you can make something. Tip 5. Know your limitations. If you can't animate, use free animations like Mixamo. If you can't model, find some free models or buy some asset packs. Most game jams don't mind you using paid assets, the odd one will, but you'll just have to check the rules. The best way to take part is to find your limitations and know how to stop them affecting you. The last thing you want to do is spend 50% of the jam learning how to animate and then not having enough time to do everything else. For example, my strength, I'm a programmer and a story writer, in my own opinion. I can't model very well, I can't animate, so I will look to find alternative means to achieve these. Part 6. Plan as soon as the jam starts. Use free tools like MetroRect or even Notepad to plan your ideas. It's super easy to make a game and miss a huge feature or set your expectations too high. Try to plan out the core gameplay. Is it an arcadey runaround shooter? How do you win? Points or time? Is there a story? Do you need cutscenes? Do you have time to do a full story? Probably not. Planning sounds boring but is vital if you want the jam to go really smoothly. It helps you get your vision into words and then give you a track to stay on. Even if it's a 5-minute plan, if you have a rough guide of a start and an end goal, you have an advantage already. Tip 7. You can't fail. You might think of not submitting your game means it fails. You might think not adding a theme or having a broken game is a fail. If you have learned anything at all, or you've had some fun, you have not failed. The only way you can fail is by not getting something out of the time. I've made games before where I've missed a deadline or the theme wasn't obvious at all. The game wasn't even playable on some, but I upgraded my knowledge of the engine so much that I consider it a win. Remove the idea of failing and see it as a learning exercise or a bit of fun. You won't fail. Tip 8. Solo or co-op? Got a bunch of friends who like game dev? Team up. More bodies, more work. More work means a bigger game, but more management and more risk to go wrong. Going solo? That's fine too. I always attend my jams solo. Less management and you get to make 100% of the decisions, but it gives you 100% of the workload and 100% of the problems. Plan accordingly. Tip 9. Just have fun. At the end of the day, point of games are for fun. You are making a game for fun. Don't pull your hair out stressing the entire time. Trust me, I'm a huge stressor when things aren't going to plan on the jam. But my advice is, if you are, take a step back and make your game a bit smaller. A small polished game is better than an unfinished buggy game. Just enjoy the time and know in the best case, you increase your knowledge by a huge amount and deploy a game. And the worst case is you don't deploy a game, but you still learn. Even if it's a small amount, it's something. So have fun. Plus, after the jam, there is nothing stopping you continuing on with the game to add any ideas you wanted to add. Tip 10. Analyse your performance afterwards. This seems to be fairly uncommon, but something I see is key for continued learning. Conduct a review on how you performed. Don't be critical or picky. Balance every negative with a positive. You took too long looking for animations, but the animations you did end up finding are sweet and it makes it feel really good. You planned a game that was just too large, but the game itself is fantastic and you are super proud of what you've achieved. Analyse yourself and figure out what went right and what went wrong. What would you change if you did it again, and what do you wish you could have done next time? Then, when you take part in the next jam, your goals are already set. I do this on every jam I do. I post a video to YouTube and I post it in the comments on the game jam. So there are 10 things to help you out with your first game jam. This isn't advice as such, but more recommendations now. But the jams I personally take part in are Ludum Dare. It runs 3 times a year, it's community vote driven, and it gives you 1 weekend to make a game. Use anything you want, any paid assets, you don't need to deploy the source code unless you do one of the harder versions. Bracky's Game Jam runs a few times a year, 5 days. Random theme, no swearing or not suitable for work stuff. Game Maker's Toolkit Game Jam. Once a year, 1 weekend, random theme, anything you want. Game Dev TV. Runs a few times a year, gives you 2 weeks. But you must deploy the source code, meaning you have to have full distribution license for anything you use. So basically, free assets and plugins only. I hope this helps. Any other tips, please comment below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.